Crime Curious is a true crime podcast that takes an in-depth look into real cases through the lens of a trained investigator and former prosecutor turned judge.
If you are sensitive to expletives, anatomical descriptions, and accurate descriptions of crime scenes, this podcast may not be suitable for you.
Have you or someone you love been a victim of a crime that's still unsolved? Crime Curious has teamed up with one of the top private investigation services in the Indiana and surrounding area. If you have listened to us long enough, you know that we do not seek out services or products that are meaningless to us or hold no real value. So you can trust us when we say that Corbett Investigations comes with decades of experience you won't find anyplace else. Corbett Investigations is run by a former homicide commander of one of the country's most successful homicide units, has put over 400 people in prison for homicide, handled over 1,100 death investigations, and solved 33 cold case murders. To be real with you, Mr. Corbett had a really difficult time telling us what we should highlight in this segment because he does not like to sound like he's bragging. Solving crimes has been his life's passion, and he has never done it for the accolades or recognition. He has a whole team behind his services that help him be so successful, as they specialize in things like bloodstain analysis, ballistics, crime scene reconstruction, and forensic pathology, just to name a few. When you contact Corbett Investigations, you talk directly with Tim Corbett. He is hands-on with every case and can travel anywhere that's needed to get the job done. Corbett Investigations prides itself on honesty, truth, feet to the ground, real investigation work, and the strength to stand up to whatever is in the way of solving the crime. Corbett Investigations specializes in complex homicide cases, sex offenses, and criminal investigations that are old and new. Tim and his team have a reputation for finding witnesses and information that others could not. Although we hope none of our listeners ever need private investigation services, if you do, we recommend contacting Corbett Investigations and mention this segment on Crime Curious for a free consultation. Contact Tim Corbett today at 574-229-8115. You can also check them out on Facebook at Corbett Investigative Services, Inc., or their email, tim@tcorbett.org. That's tim@tcorbett.org. Thanks for listening, and now on to the show. Welcome to Crime Curious. I'm Charnell.
I'm Megan.
We're shaking all that gree-gree. Hi, guys. How's everybody doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm excited to bring you this case that I'm sure a lot of true crime enthusiasts have either listened to other podcasts on it or seen some things on TV, but it's been a little while since it was really in the news. But this was one of those roller coasters as you deep dive into it. You're like, and then she did what?
The anticipation. I wonder if I've heard of it.
This is the Amy Bishop case.
Okay. You know, I am terrible with names.
Yep. As we get into the details, you might be, or
fact patterns, though. I'm like, oh, yeah, I knew that case. Or, oh, I dealt with that yesterday.
Very true. This one you definitely haven't dealt with because it is insane. But as I'm like, I kind of remember that name from that time. But even in the news, it did not delve into the background and all the dark secrets that Amy Bishop was hiding. But I have found them, and I'm going to give them to you today.
I'm here for this. I have my comfort dormouse and a Leinenkugel summer shandy.
Delicious.
It is.
The shandy, not the dormouse.
I haven't licked the dormouse.
I'm not going to judge you.
That now I don't want to because for me it's an impulse control thing, and you just mentioned it. So now I'm thinking about I'm going to put it down.
I feel like it would be smooth and cool right in your mouth. You guys, she picked up the furry crocheted penis that someone sent us. She's going to lick that instead.
That either.
It's all right. I'm going to twiddle this raccoon bone while we...
I'm here for this.
while we talk. I'm going to bring you the case. So Amy Bishop has, just right out the gate, y'all need to know, she has an elevated sense of self. Okay.
Oh, she's a narcissistic bitch.
Oh, absolutely.
That is the nicest way ever to call someone a narcissistic bitch, by the way.
Elevated sense of self.
Oh.
Can you tell I'm a social worker?
He's a good friend of mine. He has an elevated sense of self.
Yeah. Or when someone is telling me about their domestic partner and I was like, oh, that sounds like an elevated sense of self because
Right.
I'm not, I don't have
Power
their temperature
and control,
yet.
Willpower and
Right.
control.
Like, you never know, like, should I actually tell this friend how I really feel or are they still in love with them?
You got to be careful when you
right.
get advice like that. I've been there.
Yep.
So I'm going to tell you something about your spouse right now that you're asking me about, but I'm a little scared because if you get back together with him, I realize I'm replaceable.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So picture this. If the diagnosis of narcissism and psychopath had a baby, it would be Amy Bishop.
Excellent. I might know her twin.
I do actually think that they should just add this as a diagnostic to the DSM-5 and just name it like Bishpath.
I figure they should just do it. The Am I the Asshole post we do?
Yeah.
That should just be a diagnosis.
Am
The
I an
initials.
Amy Bishop?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Is this a Bishpath?
Bishpath.
Yeah, that's a new diagnostic term that we're going to use.
Dig all of this.
Amy, let me tell you a little bit about her. She was born April 24th, 1965 to Judy and Samuel Bishop in Iowa City, Iowa. Her parents met at the New England School of Art in Boston, Massachusetts. Her dad was actually an Air Force veteran, and he moved his wife to Iowa City in 1964, where he graduated in fine arts at the University of Iowa. So they switched schools. The young couple gave birth to Amy the following year, describing her as bright and empathic, which is very interesting because let me tell you, I'm not entirely certain that these two well-educated people understood what the word empathic meant because she certainly didn't grow with that skill.
Yeah, now I'm just thinking about her childhood development. Was there a time where she maybe was an empath or maybe she was just overly sensitive?
I'm going to go with sensitive
Prior.
And maybe they
Get her own way.
they misunderstood.
Perhaps. Because nobody wants to look at their 6-year-old and say, you're a psychopath. They want to say you're an empath. And we have already determined that all toddlers are psychopaths.
Of course they
Why
are.
we can't diagnose them. They're
Yeah.
supposed to be self-centered. But
Yes.
some of them never leave that ego phase. And I seriously think it might lead to this type of a diagnosis.
Yes,
The Bishop.
I agree.
What'd you call it?
The Bishpath.
The Bishpath.
Yes. Yep. She's Bishpath.
Would you hold my hand and guide me down the Bishpath?
This is where they're starting to see her at an early age. She's going right down the Bishpath. And the only thing notable that I could make from her childhood, she was a very bright child. She's a very intelligent adult, but she had a petulant for arranging her toys in elaborate and complicated formations. Okay. They actually ended up raising her in Massachusetts. So she's a masshole.
Bishpath massholes.
Yes, a
They're-
Bishpath masshole.
I'm sure they're everywhere.
The Bishops actually returned to Massachusetts when her father, Sam, secured a teaching job in the art department at Northeastern University. And they settled into Braintree in 1968, where they welcomed their second child, Seth, later that year. So Seth is a few years younger than Amy. Amy did have asthma-related emergencies during her childhood, which they believe fueled her interest in science as she aimed to find a cure. She began playing the violin in the 3rd grade, and Seth actually wanted to join. He wanted to do the violin as well. He wanted to do all the same things that Amy was doing.
These just sound like, honestly, upper middle class parents that
Yes.
want to give their kids everything. So they open all of these new experiences up to them. And clearly they're gifted, or at least Amy's gifted at this point to pick these things up.
So is Seth.
Did I say Amy?
Yeah,
It
that is her
Amy.
name.
Okay.
Yep.
Thought I made it up for a minute.
No, it's just we've been talking about how she's a
Bishpath. And
Bishpath.
I forgot her first name.
Yeah. So Amy and Seth, both very bright, intelligent children. Both of their parents, though, are educators, so we can expect that there's going to be more of an emphasis of that well-rounded education, and that they're going to have them take interests outside of school in the arts and things like that, which they both do. Now, I think that some of the information that I found points to the fact that Amy had some jealousy issues when it comes to Seth. People that were close to them would indicate otherwise and would say that, well, no, they were incredibly close as children and that there was no sibling rivalry. We will get to it, honey. In 1985, the family returned from Amy's grandpa's funeral. So this was Sam's father, had passed away. And they found that their home had been burglarized.
That can be traumatizing.
Absolutely. And it was for the family. The thieves actually even took Mom Judy's wedding ring. Okay.
Why wasn't she wearing it?
I don't know. I found that interesting as well. Unless maybe it didn't fit her at the time.
Or I grab a silicone ring when I travel because I don't want my ring to get stolen or to lose it. Mm-hmm. So I'd be incredibly pissed if my jewelry was stolen out of my home where I left it safely.
Yeah, and they had like silver cups. Remember when kids were born and you used to do a keepsake where you'd engrave the silver cups?
Yes.
So Seth and Amy had that. And those were stolen. Other valuables were stolen. They actually stole the children's pillowcases to carry all of the items. Okay, so this was distraught. Actually, Judy put out in the local newspaper an article, an ad, just asking them to return their keepsakes, like just the things that really were of value, memento-wise to them. Memento?
No, a memento is a thing.
I don't know why it felt like it came off the tongue just real weird. So
you were thinking of Mentos.
Oh, those are yummy.
They're delicious and refreshing.
They are. No luck. That didn't work.
No, when people steal from you, they don't usually go, I kind of feel bad about the pillowcases. I'm going to drop them off.
So because of this thievery, Sam felt that it was necessary to purchase a gun to protect the family. Okay?
Fair enough.
Yep.
As is your right, sir.
Yes. So he got a shotgun, and it's reported that Judy and Amy did not want the shotgun, but Sam did to make them feel safe in the home. And life goes on. Amy attends Braintree High School. She completes her undergraduate degree at Northeastern University in Boston, where her father was a professor in the art department, as I mentioned.
Tuition.
Yeah.
This is why kids of parents employed as professors usually go to the same school.
Yes. She actually earned her PhD in genetics from Harvard University.
Brilliant girl.
This was extremely important to Amy. Her entire self-worth rested on the fact that she had a PhD from Harvard. Okay, keep that in mind.
Honey, that can't be your only identity because that stuff there does come a point in time where people stop asking where you went to school.
It doesn't matter. She'd tell them anyway. We will get to that.
Like CrossFitters. So how do you know somebody CrossFits? Oh, don't worry. They'll tell you.
They will tell you. Yep. Her research interests included induction of adaptive resistance to nitric oxide in the central nervous system and utilization of motor neurons for the development of neural circuits grown in biological computer chips.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So they're literally introducing nitrous whatever into the
nitrous
body,
oxide into the central nervous system. Yep. And then see how those motor neurons would develop into neutral circuits that are grown in these biological, like actual computer chips. Like we are introducing like a bioengineering sort of situation with cells. And I'll talk a little bit more about this, but there was an anonymous source at Harvard that said that Amy Bishop's work was of poor quality and undeserving of a doctoral degree, calling it local scandal number 1.
Really?
Yes, and we will see this more than just here, that her actual output does not match what she wants everybody to think that it does, which is pretty typical of a narcissist, that they seem like they're very successful, very productive people, but it's actually others that are doing the work for them or in their name. And so their actual output is very poor.
I don't have a problem with delegating. I do that all the time. you're starting to make me concerned for my diagnoses over here. But here's the thing. I give credit. And I think that's where somebody's already starting to get upset, right?
Yes, that
like
is the
I didn't
difference.
put this program together by myself. I had all of these people with me to help make it work.
Yes.
You have to have dreamers and you have to have doers. So if she was a dreamer, that's great. But is she not giving credit to any of the doers?
Not at all. No. She is Amy Bishop.
Oh.
Harvard University
Graduate,
PhD.
Fair.
Okay.
Got it.
So
how humbling. I'm so sorry. Carry on.
Yeah. This little upchuck of hard truth, I just want everybody to kind of keep in the back of their minds because she is not as great at everything as she wants people to think.
Oh, God. She looks good on paper.
Yes. You know who doesn't look good on paper but looks good in real life? My husband.
Oh, God.
Last medical appointment, the doctor walks in and goes, "Oh, wow, you look great in real life. I've been reading through your chart. I thought I was going to walk in on a nearly dead man." I was like, yeah, on paper, he looks terrible. Yeah, really terrible.
He does.
But he's really something for the
they're
eyes.
Surprised. They're like,
life.
"Oh, this is an attractive man. He doesn't even look his age. Shouldn't you be like a zombie?"
For sure.
like the Crypt Keeper.
And also his wife.
No, well, we don't even know how that happened. He doesn't either.
He doesn't, no. That's so funny. But also when they're like, "So you're 52," and then they look at me and I say, "I'm not."
No. much younger.
Much younger. Anyway, while obtaining her PhD, Amy married a poor bloke by the name of Jimmy James Anderson.
Fair enough.
Okay. I can only assume that this man had very low self-esteem and possibly enjoyed himself a little dominatrix play because, and you know, that's okay. The two aren't related. You don't have to have low self-esteem to enjoy dominatrix, but I'm just going to tell you that it is clear in his choice of women that he enjoys being controlled.
Okay. So he might originally have been attracted to somebody who was highly intelligent and or sounded intelligent. He might have been the one or two people in the bar that was like, "Wait, you have a PhD from Harvard?
Harvard?
Let me undo my belt."
Let me get in on this. Let me show you my PhD.
See, if I'm sitting at a bar and some guy comes over and goes, "I have a PhD from Harvard," I'll be like, "Yay. Congratulations."
I know. It just does.
My panties have never fallen off.
No, not at all. I'm
Never.
Shania Twaining with the that don't impress me much.
When you feel like a woman?
No.
Oh, that don't impress you
Yeah.
much. I missed. Yes, now I remember the song.
Pick up what I'm putting down.
I got lost on a different Shania song.
That's true.
You can't blame me. There's so many.
There's so many good ones. I'm sure she's listening. We love you.
We love you, Shania.
So the couple has 4 children, which might sound super normal to you right now. Like I've told you so far.
I have 4 children.
PhD, husband. She's got herself a man's
doctorate degree, man, 4 kids,
4 kids.
super smart. Oh my God. Is this about me and are we having an intervention? Because I'm going to be really pissed.
No, because Amy Bishop is a little cunt cake.
Oh, and
you
I'm not.
are not.
I'm more of a cunt muffin.
Only when you choose to be.
Fair.
In the right moments. She's just like that all the time.
Okay.
It makes me wonder what kind of mother she really was, and I'm going to provide you with just one little peek-see into what life with mommy, who is probably suffering from Bishpath, what it was like, okay? I have one example only that I could find. But I'm going to take you to March 16th, 2002. And I saw your face. You're noticing that my shirt says sleep right now.
I did.
Yep. It's because it is one of the most comfortable t-shirts I own. And so I wear it.
Because it's pajamas, Charnell. You're wearing pajamas, but that's okay.
It is 5:48 at night.
You tell yourself whatever you need to.
I just happened to see your eyes. I'm like, yes, that's right. That's right, Megan. With jeans, by the way. I'm fully dressed.
Did you wear that to the... out in town and about too?
I had a sweatshirt over it.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
But would I sometimes? Maybe.
I mean, no judgment.
It's very comfortable.
It looks super comfortable. That's why I was looking at it.
So March 16th, 2002, Amy Bishop was involved in a fight with another customer at an IHOP restaurant in Peabody, Massachusetts.
Not the IHOP.
It's like Waffle House.
I was just going to say, if you would have said Waffle House,
No.
I would have been...
She's got a
classy.
PhD.
PhDs don't eat the Waffle House.
That's right. That's why she's at IHOP. It is the fancier
so you know,
place.
JD's, we do eat at Waffle House and actually prefer it to
It's
the
very
IHOP.
good. That's right.
I like it. I like the danger. I like knowing I might not leave after my waffle.
Or that it makes you appreciate it more. Like, this could be my last meal.
No, I just sit there and look back and think this is just like being in court, except for I don't have to do anything but watch.
Mm-hmm. And eat my waffles.
Correct.
What could be better?
Nothing. I'm sticky. I'm covered in syrup, and I'm going to leave that alone.
And
Go ahead.
And I'm getting orally satisfied.
By a waffle.
By a waffle. Anyway, Amy had witnessed, excuse me, that's not what I meant to say. It's not even written in my notes. Disregard that. No idea where it came from.
Wow.
Yeah. Who's the psychopath?
Blah,
Sociopath now. Wow.
Stick your tongue out. Do a small toast.
No. Am I having a stroke?
Maybe. Nope, you're good.
I'm all right. All right.
You passed the test.
I might need to edit all that out because that was some absolute tomfoolery. Just came out of my mouth.
Plus, the past minute or so hasn't really made sense from either of us.
So let me take you to March 16th, 2002. Amy Bishop is asking the waitress at IHOP for a booster seat for one of her children.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Pretty simple.
With her.
The waitress explained, "They're all in use. We are out of booster seats." Well, Amy became furious that there was no booster seat available for her child's bottom. So she informed the waitress that she has a PhD from Harvard University. She is Dr. Amy Bishop. Don't they know who she is?
Who cares?
Well, that's kind of what the waitress said. Like, yeah.
You eat your waffle with a fork like everybody else, lady.
Yeah. Sorry that you've got a PhD.
There's no booster seats.
No
Where
booster
would you
seat.
like me to? Would you want me to go ripping up? She wanted her to go rip that booster seat away from another child.
Well, she sure did. But when the waitress wouldn't, Amy went ahead and confronted one of the customers whose child was actively using the booster seat.
Oh, no, she didn't.
Oh, she did. When the woman refused to give up the seat, as she should, Amy punched her in the head while yelling, "I am Dr. Amy Bishop."
This woman's had a mental break.
She's been bishpathed. I'm telling you.
This is crazy.
I know. She was arrested.
Well, she deserves to be arrested.
Yes. So Dr. Bitch Slap is arrested
Okay.
because she has now assaulted this woman.
Over a booster seat.
Over a booster seat. She pled guilty and she received probation. Okay.
That's typical.
Mm-hmm. What's her first offense?
Well, she's Dr. Amy Bishop.
She's
with their
Dr.
Harvard degree.
Amy Bishop from Harvard University.
Harvard graduates do not go to jail unless they're federal prisons that are very nice with TVs and
That's right.
luxury sheets.
1,600 thread count Egyptian cotton.
Damn.
Or something like that.
Wow. Remind me to get in the right kind of trouble, Charnell.
I'm in the right kind of trouble all the time, I feel like. Prosecutors recommended that she attend anger management classes. They recommended it. They didn't force it. She did not attend them.
Well, because a prosecutor can only make a recommendation. To me, that means the court didn't order it.
Right.
That, you guys,
Correct.
That would not happen here.
They did not order
If you
it.
plead guilty to an assault in a situation like that, you're having an anger management assessment and you're following the recommendations, and no matter what they recommend.
Well, in
you will follow them.
2002 in Massachusetts, they did not make Amy Bishop do that.
Well, she had a PhD from Harvard.
She did.
And paid her fines and was an upstanding citizen, and I understand.
Career-wise, she went into the field of academia. Okay, she was even an instructor at her alma mater, Harvard Medical School.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So not only did she graduate, now she is teaching the up-and-coming
That's her first
narcissist.
Correct. That was her first job at Harvard Medical School. Now, this is why. She and her husband, they had this invention called a portable cell incubator. It came in third in a technology competition, winning $25,000.
Cool.
A company called Prodigy Biosystems.
Yes.
Where her husband, Jimmy Anderson, was actually employed, raised $1.25 million to develop the automated cell incubator.
That's amazing. $1.2 million, and she won $25,000 for it.
She did. Yep.
That is some scientific math right there.
Sure is. Now, some scientists actually declared it too expensive and unnecessary for the field.
Weird.
So not everybody was on board with this portable cell incubator that came in third, not even first, in the technology competition.
It costs a lot to make, so you have
does.
to do a cost-benefit analysis.
Correct.
And it's not
And is it
necessarily
necessary?
a life-saving device.
Yes.
Okay.
Because of this little cell incubator competition win, she's offered a job as a professor at the University of Alabama, located in Huntsville.
Oh, I know Bama.
Then, the then president, David Williams, thought that the portable cell incubator would, quote, change the way biological and medical research is conducted, end quote. So he was someone who was impressed by it.
Absolutely.
Offers Amy a job at UAH, okay, University of Alabama, Huntsville. And that's what takes her away from teaching at Harvard Medical School.
All right.
Okay. So she joins the faculty in the Department of Biological Science as an assistant professor in 2003. So this is after the IHOP little incident. Okay.
Sure.
Here's the problem. I've indicated to you before that she likes to look good, but she doesn't necessarily perform good. She totally sucks ass at teaching.
Oh, I can see that.
Mm-hmm. Not only does she introduce herself to each class, and she taught 5 classes, she introduced herself as Dr. Amy Bishop, Harvard University. That is what she wrote on the board, how she would introduce herself. I'm Dr. Amy Bishop, Harvard University.
Jesus, lady, get over it, man.
She would also often yell at her students if they needed to figure things out themselves, because she is Dr. Amy Bishop from Harvard, and she couldn't be bothered with idiots that needed help. In other words, she didn't know how to help them. That's what that tells me.
She has no background in teaching or teaching postgraduate students, to say the least.
Right. So being unpopular amongst students, she dismissed several graduate students from her lab, and those that she didn't dismiss, and she would dismiss them like, get out of here, for asking questions, okay?
That she couldn't answer.
Right. Others just were seeking transfer out. They couldn't handle her anymore. They're like, absolutely not. So in 2009, she got that job in 2003. In 2009, several of the UAH students said that they complained to administrators about Amy Bishop on at least 3 occasions, telling them that she was ineffective in the classroom and had odd, unsettling ways about her, end quote. A petition was signed by dozens of students that went to the department head. The complaints did not result in any classroom changes, however. Also in 2009, Amy Bishop published an article in a Vanity Press medical journal listing her husband and 3 minor children as her co-authors.
Her 3 minor children?
Her 3 minor children. The article was later removed from the journal website.
What in the hell?
Several colleagues
This
expressed...
defies narcissism, though. This isn't just a narcissist. This woman has lost something in her brain.
At the beginning, I said when narcissism and psychopath have a baby, it's Amy Bishop. And a new diagnosis is born, the Bishpath.
You know how there's that kind of dinosaur that lays eggs in another dinosaur's nest, and then when it hatches, it eats all the babies?
Yes.
That's all I can think of. It's going through my brain.
It is a little naturally diabolical in that way. Mm-hmm.
Somebody just put her in a nest full of vegetarian eating dinosaurs, and she's going to start eating them all.
She has problems, and her coworkers or her colleagues, they know it.
And so do the students. Can you imagine having that professor?
Mm-hmm.
All of you put yourselves there.
No.
We've all had bad professors.
Of course.
I've had some terrible ones. And just the thought, but dealing with that level of crazy, thank God, I've never had to deal with.
I know. Well, her colleagues actually had told administrators they're also filing complaints. Okay, it's not just the students, it's colleagues as well. And they talked about how in meetings, she would have really, really bizarre tangents, and she would just come out of left field with stuff. They're like, she's super weird. She's acting very crazy. Those are in quotes. Like, those are things that they were saying. Like, this is just bizarre. So because of the many complaints and concerns for her behavior, Dr. Amy Bishop, Harvard University, had been denied tenure in March 2009. Which means she knows that her teaching contract would not be renewed after March 2010 school year. Because remember, she was just an assistant professor.
Correct.
In order to become a professor, you have to be given tenure.
And once you get tenure, it's hard to, if not impossible, to get rid of a
Yes.
professor.
Yeah.
And they're like, no,
Yep.
we're not going to lock in.
We are
that
not. No,
crazy.
no, we don't want you staying. She appealed the decision, of course, to University of Alabama Huntsville's administration. Without reviewing the content of the tenure application, the administration determined that the process to deny her tenure was carried out according to policy, so they denied the appeal. There's no reason for them to even look at her tenure application because the administration had already, the right processes were followed. They denied your application, as happens sometimes, so we're not going to review your application. The right processes were followed. One of the colleagues that had major concerns about her behavior was also a member of Amy's tenure review committee. I mean, it is of her peers, of her colleagues, right? After her tenure was denied and Amy learned that this colleague had called her, quote, crazy, Amy filed a complaint with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, EEOC, and alleged sexual discrimination, citing the professor's remark as possible evidence.
Calling somebody crazy isn't sexual harassment. No. It could be an ADA issue.
I didn't mean to make it. I meant sex discrimination, meaning her gender.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, as in she's a crazy woman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
As in, because I'm a woman, I am crazy.
Oh, I don't like that.
Well,
thanks, Amy.
The professor did not retract his comments.
Because she's crazy.
Right. He was given the opportunity to back off from the claim or say that it was a flippant remark, but he didn't. Here's his direct quote.
Put my eggs in that basket.
Mm-hmm. He said, quote, I said she was crazy multiple times, and I stand by that. This woman has a pattern of erratic behavior. She did things that weren't normal. She was out of touch with reality, end quote. Good for him for standing his ground in that this has nothing to do with her being a woman. This has everything to do with her erratic behavior, with the strange things that she's doing, with the fact that it's obvious she's not in touch with reality.
And I'm sure these can be backed up with complaints from students and personnel as well as his own observation.
Yes.
And this isn't a court of law where he has to be a completely neutral person on that either. It's just your peers who know you deciding whether they give you tenure.
Yeah. Yes. And they had very valid reasons for not. And aside from the concerns of her behavior, furthermore, her research that she was conducting was poor.
Her kids did it. We saw in the article where she gave them credit.
Yes. And as I indicated before, as we see with narcissists and humans with elevated senses of self, they talk the talk, but they can't walk the walk without stepping on their own dick.
Yeah.
And her research was not good enough. However, she claimed that her research was fine, but it was simply that all of her colleagues were jealous of her for being smarter than them. There's the dick step.
I hate when that happens.
That's how you step on your own dick.
It sure is.
Right there.
Well, she didn't step on it. She also tripped on it and hit her forehead.
Possibly.
Got it caught in her
I don't know how this penis ended up in my mouth.
She caught it. I'm just going to leave that alone.
But truly, it's so typical, right? Like, nope, there's no accountability.
I'm sorry, I'm still back a paragraph staring at you.
You know what? That was no notes. That was not in my notes.
I know it wasn't.
Sorry. I'm a little unhinged today.
We both are.
So she's saying I was denied tenure, not because my research is poor and because my behaviors are poor. It's because they're all so jealous of me. Because I'm Amy Bishop from Harvard University. Because no one else has ever graduated from Harvard before,
no one,
apparently.
No one in the history of the U.S. that is still alive today has graduated with a PhD from Harvard.
None.
You crazy psycho. Like, come on. How many people who also were educated at Harvard are looking at her going, lady, you got to stop.
For sure.
This is embarrassing to your alma mater. We don't claim her.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's what that one anonymous person that was like, this is scandal number one, that we gave this woman a degree. Absolutely. Now, Amy's husband, Jimmy, remember the poor bloke?
Oh, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Poor Jim.
He said that the denial of her tenure had been, quote, an issue. And he described the tenure process as being a long and hard fight. So he is acknowledging that she didn't take that denial well. That happened in March of 2009. She did not take it well, and it was a long fight.
Jimmy is a beaten man who has learned to use words in a certain way.
Very carefully.
This was his way of saying she flipped the fuck out when she didn't get tenure.
That was his way of not stepping on his dick.
Oh,
so
that
Amy won't chop it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he says that it was his understanding that Amy exceeded the qualifications for tenure. Well, I'm sure that's what she was telling you.
On
Absolutely.
paper.
But you're not working with her day in and day out. And that she was really distressed at the likelihood of losing her position, barring, an unsuccessful appeal.
They did uproot and move there, and she was
did.
clearly going to be losing her job.
Mm-hmm.
And I can understand having a poor reaction. I would be upset. I would cry. I would, look for consolation in people who loved me to build me back up again. But that is not what is happening here.
No. Amy approached members of the University of Alabama's Systems Board of Trustees because of this tenure denial. And she hired a lawyer who was, in Amy's words, quote, finding one problem after another with the tenure process, end quote.
Well, we do get paid to do that.
Yes.
So when someone hires us, we will try to poke holes in anything to see if there is enough for some type of a claim.
Right.
It doesn't mean that we like and or agree with our client, by the way.
Nor does it mean that she's going to get tenure even after all of that.
No, not
even
at
if
all.
they found problems with their internal process of giving people tenure.
Correct.
They still can't make the university give her tenure.
Right.
That's an internal decision.
Totally agree. There's an administrative process.
Yes. One point of dispute was whether two of her papers, Amy's papers that she published, had been published in time to count towards the tenure. But Amy, who gave more weight to obtaining patents than publishing papers, reportedly received several warnings that she needed to have more publications in order to receive her tenure. So in other words, you guys, she was focusing her research on getting patents, okay? Money.
Oh, yeah.
She wanted money for inventions rather than publishing research papers to help her field learn and grow. And when a university, one of the qualifications that they're looking for in their tenured professors are you committed to the world of academia and truly helping this field of study grow and evolve?
Sure. Are you making advancements, and can you teach people?
Can you share that?
Correct.
Yep. No, this was all about Amy Bishop. I want patents, right? Total narcissist.
And she was just in the wrong field. She should have been in research development someplace.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Innovation, things like that.
Absolutely.
Not in this academic world where they want information shared for everyone to benefit from, because that's what publishing papers does. And she didn't do enough of it. She didn't spend enough of her time, and she had received several warnings.
I mean, she basically was teaching them they were at the wrong school. The only thing that they could do to further their careers or learn anything was to go to Harvard University.
Right, Dr.
And
Amy
become
Bishop, Harvard
Dr.
University.
Amy Bishop's student.
Yeah. Basically, the school year of fall 2009 to spring 2010 would be her last year teaching at the University of Alabama Huntsville, and she knows it. On February 12th, 2010. Now, remember, I just said that spring 2010 was going to be her last year, her last classes.
It's getting close.
Yes. So February 12th, Amy Bishop taught her anatomy and neuroscience classes as usual. A student later said that Amy seemed perfectly normal during the lecture. She then attended a biology department faculty meeting on the third floor of the Shelby Center for Science and Technology. According to witnesses, 12 or 13 people attended the meeting, which was described as an ordinary faculty meeting. Amy's behavior was described at the meeting as normal. Okay, the people who saw her there. She sat quietly there for 30 to 40 minutes before what happens that is not normal. But leading up to it, for those 30 to 40 minutes, she was cool as a cucumber. And then about 40 minutes in, she pulls out a Ruger P95 9mm handgun just before 4 p.m.
Wow. That's a nice gun.
A witness said that she, quote, got up suddenly, took out a gun, and started shooting at each one of us.
Jesus.
She started with the one closest to her and went down the row, shooting her targets in the head, end quote. Another survivor said, quote, this wasn't random shooting around the room. This was execution style, end quote. Those who were shot were on one side of the oval table, and the 5 on the other side dropped to the floor to take cover.
Oh, my God.
Amy Bishop fired several rounds. Deborah, I'm sorry if I say her last name wrong, Moriarty, a biochemistry professor, said that she pointed the gun at her, pulled the trigger, but only heard a click as the gun had either jammed or ran out of ammunition. She described Amy as initially appearing angry and then perplexed over the gun's lack of firing. So Joseph Ng, an associate professor, said that then Deborah attempted to stop Amy by approaching her, asking her to stop, trying to reason with her, and then helped the other survivor. And then her and the other survivors helped push Amy from the room and block the door. Joseph Ng said that Deborah was probably the one that saved the rest of their lives because she was the one that initiated the rush to get her out the door. That's all. These people they're not trained in self-defense. They are professors.
And they're in a safe place to them.
Right.
They're in their conference room.
All they could do was truly just push her out the door, lock the door, and try to continue to take cover. Now, Amy doesn't flee. Instead, she calmly walks to a woman's restroom. She throws the murder weapon away in the garbage. She cleaned the blood splatter from her face. She throws her cardigan sweater that had blood on it away. And then she calls poor bloke Jimmy. Tells him she's ready to leave. They had a date night planned for that night. So she's just like, I'm ready to leave now. On my way. Let's go on our date.
Oh, my.
She then walks out of the building where she is swiftly met by police and arrested. While being arrested and while in custody,
oh my God,
she demanded that the officers call her Dr. Bishop. And she kept telling them nothing happened. All they said is you're under, she's just, nothing happened. Nothing happened. I'm Dr. Amy Bishop. I am Dr. Bishop.
This is a weird movie. This is a psychological thriller. This woman is fucking crazy.
Bish Path. Yeah.
Excuse me.
I thought you were going to sneeze for a second there.
I thought about it.
3 faculty members were killed and 3 others were injured. Only a few students were in the building at the time of the shooting and none were harmed. I do want to go over the victims' names though, please. And I'm sorry if I say any of them wrong, but there was Gopi Padilla, a chairman of the biology department, was murdered. Maria Davis, associate professor of biology, and Adriel Johnson, senior associate professor of biology. And then the ones that the survivors, but were injured, and some had quite lengthy hospital stays. Luis Cruz Vera was a biology professor. He was actually released from the hospital the next day, February 13th. Joseph Leahy was a biology professor and was released April 14th.
Oh, he was in for a while.
Over almost a month, because this happened February 12th. 2 months then.
Yeah.
February, yes, because it happened February 12th and he was released April 14th. Sadly, he died of a heart attack on October 15th in 2017.
Oh.
Yeah. Then there was Stephanie Matasillo. She was a staff assistant and she was released from the hospital March 29th, 2010. So she was in for well over a month, almost 2 months. While in custody, and Amy continues to tell people that she didn't do anything, she wasn't at the meeting, she doesn't remember anything, nothing happened, they can see that she's trying to start her insanity plea right away. Amy was charged with 1 count of capital murder and 3 counts of attempted murder. The police confiscated her computer, her family's minivan, and a large binder containing documents pertaining to her 10-year battle. She secured an unnamed attorney and was held at the Madison County Jail without bail. Her court-appointed attorney was Roy Miller, and prosecutors said from the onset that they would seek the death penalty.
Oh, I think that's a good choice.
Mm-hmm. So on February 15th, during a closed-door hearing presided over by an Alabama judge, the charges were read to Bishop. On March 12th, while executing a search warrant on Amy's residence, the police discovered a suspicious device, prompting an evacuation of the neighborhood. It was later identified by the bomb squad as non-explosive, but it was built like a suspicious explosive device. More on that later.
I was just going to say, what in the hell was planned here?
Well, the police have reason to worry about an explosive device because now they're looking into Amy Bishop's past. And it turns out that her past is as ugly as those self-checkout cameras make you look.
No way.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
when you accidentally turn your forward-facing camera on when you thought it was going to be a picture of the lake.
Yep. And then all of a sudden it's your face.
Jesus Christ, it didn't put makeup on.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
It's that bad. That's how bad Amy Bishop's past is. Let's talk about it.
Okay.
In 1993, Amy and Jimmy, her husband, were suspected of sending 2 letter bombs, which failed to explode, to Paul Rosenberg, a Harvard Medical School professor.
Well, that's rude.
Well,
He went to Harvard. He's Dr. Harvard.
Dr. Paul Rosenberg from Harvard Medical School. Want to take a guess as to why they would send him 2 letter bombs?
Is he the guy that said that she had issues and never deserved her honorary degree?
What I don't know, because that was an anonymous person that said that her degree was scandal number 1.
Maybe it wasn't so anonymous to her.
Right? Rosenberg was Amy's supervisor at a children's hospital neurobiology lab and had given her a negative grade because she sucked at schoolwork too. Afterwards, said to be on the verge of a nervous breakdown.
Since she was about 10, really.
Yeah, oh, I think so. Her husband said that at that time he had wanted to shoot, stab, or strangle Paul Rosenberg.
Why did her poor husband get dragged into this? He's as angry as she is now.
Well,
Maybe
I think
he was
that they're
angry when she met him.
I think they're suspecting that Jimmy maybe knew that he had sent those letter bombs. They didn't explode, but they were sent.
They were intended to have exploded, or you wouldn't have made them.
The investigation into that was closed with no charges filed. After the Huntsville shootings, though, the case was reviewed, but it still remains unsolved. Then her past...
Is it though?
No.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I know we don't have the authority to say we've solved cases, but I think we just solved a case.
I feel like people have the misconception that in order to have solved a case, there has to have been a successful prosecution, and I disagree.
Yeah.
I think we solve lots of cases and know exactly what happened.
Right. Yep. So there we go. Check mark next to that one. But let's get into an even uglier part of her past. This is uglier than self-checkout camera.
Is it uglier than domestic terrorism? Because you've already described this.
I have. This is like woke up in a pile of horse manure alone in a barn after a night of drinking tequila, and you cannot even remember what species you are.
Oh,
ugly.
The people on Farmers Only?
This is ugly. It's real bad. I don't think all the people on Farmers Only are ugly, though.
No.
They maybe have woke up after a night of drinking tequila in a barn.
That's what I meant. No,
Maybe.
I'm sure there's very attractive people on there. Let's ask Jason.
We should.
Yeah. You can't tell me he didn't check Farmers Only out at some point in time in his dating career.
Farm chicks are hot. Hello.
Right. Oh, point in case she says.
I mean.
Not me. I am Dr. Megan Stuyvesant from Michigan State University.
That's true. That's a good point. Uh-huh.
I'm dying.
Me too.
Okay.
Me too. I can't wait for me to finish my PhD degree that I'm in the process of getting right now, and then we can both be just obnoxiously call each other doctor.
Absolutely.
We'll be hysterical.
Let's do that.
Your Honor, doctor.
The doctor will see you now. Bend over, Charnell. I need to check something.
Not that kind of doctor. Doesn't matter.
Which is why you shouldn't refer to people as doctor unless they are a medical doctor. It terrifies me. Or you're in class with that professor out of respect.
I am going to require you to call me doctor when I get this in hand, though.
Fine. But every time I walk in the room, you better stand up.
I will. Your Honor. Oh, God. We'll be fun to be around.
We're off the rails again.
We are.
Yeah. Are you reading our future? Because I'm not going to hurt anybody. I'm not.
No, me neither.
Okay.
Nor am I going to require people to call me doctor like this woman.
Yeah, you will.
Unless
give you 3
you
beers.
can diagnose me with
Bishpath
disease. So let me take you to December 9th, 1986 in Braintree, Massachusetts. Amy is 21 at this time, and she's angry. We're getting deep into her past. I'm telling you, it's real ugly, guys. It's tequila ugly. There was a couple of different speculations about what she was angry about, okay, depending on what source you used. So as per the usual, I'm going to give you both things that I found.
What year was it?
1986. Okay. She's 21. Her brother Seth, remember him? He's 18. Seth had been really proud of himself for getting good marks. And Amy's father, Samuel, was making a big deal about it and wanted Amy to acknowledge her brother's accomplishments. Okay?
Okay.
She was not willing to do so. This is what's unclear. Was she mad at Dad for wanting Amy, making a big deal about Seth's accomplishments? Or was she mad at Seth because he was getting all the attention because of all of his accomplishments? Those are the points that we are unsure of and that we will never know. So what we do know, Amy walks upstairs. She retrieves her father's 12-gauge pump action shotgun that he had just obtained because of the break-in. Yeah. Remember?
Yeah,
I mentioned that earlier. That wasn't for nothing.
Okay.
It wasn't for naught, Megan. I was telling you that for a reason. She fires one shot into her bedroom wall, and then she walks downstairs, points the gun right at her brother, and she shoots him right in the heart and kills him.
She killed her brother?
She killed her brother. I told you, girl, tequila ugly.
And no one knew this, and she wasn't ever charged or anything?
We're getting to it. I'm telling you. I'm telling you it all right now.
I can't even. I'm agape.
Mm-hmm. Roller coaster.
Oh, my God.
Roller coaster of a case. So, we are clicking up.
I'm waiting.
We're about to plummet down. She racked the slide after she fired that shot, okay? We know that because there was a loaded round in the chamber when the police finally do catch up with her. That's an important detail.
Okay.
She knows what she was doing. Do you know what,
Oh,
like,
I just was,
yeah,
yes.
She racked it.
Okay.
She had taken, I'm laughing at my actual impression of racking a shotgun because for a farm girl, that was terrible. And I apologize.
There's no judgment.
She had actually taken the shotgun to a nearby auto dealership shop. She pointed it at two employees in an attempt to get a car. While the paramedics worked to revive Seth, Judy tells the police this story. She says Seth had just returned home from the grocery store. She was in the kitchen with him when Amy descended the stairs holding her husband Sam's shotgun. Judy explained that Amy had a shell in the gun and didn't know how to unload it. She warned Amy not to point the gun at anyone. However, as Amy swung the weapon around to show her brother, it accidentally fired.
Oh, they said this was all an accident.
So the close quarters, all right, the small kitchen caused the shot to strike Seth at close range and he collapsed. Amy, in shock, fled the scene. A police bulletin was issued. Amy was later apprehended outside an auto body shop in town. Now, keep in mind she had already brandished that gun at the employees as well to try to get a car.
Okay.
At the Braintree police station, she explained that she was alone in the house and loaded the shotgun because she was concerned about potential intruders. Yep. She claimed her father had previously shown her how to load the weapon, but not how to unload it. Upon hearing Seth return home, she went downstairs. She asked for his assistance unloading the gun, and during this process, the shotgun was discharged accidentally. But hold your knickers, because here comes the kicker.
Okay.
Amy's mother, Judy, was good friends with the then chief of police, John Polio.
How good of friends?
Well, not that good. I don't know that their intimates had been intimate. But Judy was a political supporter of the chief as a member of the Braintree Town Council. And police at the time remember that Judy came in, like, the police at the time had to be supported, right? Police chief, right? Judy came in right after the shooting into the police station, demanded to speak with the chief. And the next thing that the officers know, the chief is ordering Amy's release to her mother, Judy, instead of charges being pressed.
Well, it was an accident.
The Braintree Police Department's initial assessment, even though the officers were not happy about this, was that the shooting was accidental.
I got nothing.
1986, man. I was 3. Things
guys,
were wild.
I know.
I had Mountain Dew in a bottle, I bet.
Oh, yeah. I never. My mom was a nurse. I never got any of that. I didn't even have pop at my house. I'm...
Uh-huh.
This is
Judge Megan, you're at a loss for words right now.
These cases are the reason that there are people who are skeptical of our investigative systems and our judicial systems, and it hurts me that they happen, because people may not like decisions that myself or my benchmates around the state make, but I can tell you that for the most part, the good ones that I know, when you have a situation come in like that, where it's somebody like Amy's mom, right? Who maybe you think she's annoying, but she's worked on your campaign to such a point that you consider yourself friends. If you have the power to have somebody walk in and make a demand of you, like to release a person, you have got to remove yourself from the case.
Right.
Human nature will make you at times biased or want to protect somebody. And this police chief, what good did he do in any of this?
None.
How about saying, ooh, we can't lodge her here. There's a conflict because of how close I am with her mom. And that way, when the person comes in and says, I demand that you release her, you can say, it's actually not my call to make, because you and I are such good friends that I can't make that decision.
Right.
Like,
but this is
come on.
1986, so they don't do that. Instead, she's doing a plea of, I've already lost a son. Please don't let me lose a daughter.
Your daughter killed him.
Right. That is a problem.
And she's dangerous for the rest of society.
Clearly, because then she goes on to continue to murder people
At
in cold
least
blood.
3 and
in the
injure
same
more.
way. Just direct, cold-blooded execution style.
Almost exactly same fact pattern. I didn't get my way. I was upset about something, or I was upset at you. I coldly go up, get my weapon, take it downstairs or to the office, start a conversation, and blow people's brains out.
Yes.
Calmly.
Yeah. Now, apparently in 1987, the state police did review the incident and also said the shooting was accidental. However...
Based off what information?
Well, that's the problem. A lot of the information was missing.
Of course.
At the time.
This doesn't surprise me.
No,
let me add,
not
is
at all.
not indicative of that state police agency being dirty in any way.
No.
They can only review what exists.
What's available to be reviewed.
Correct.
Yeah. Detailed records of the shooting had disappeared completely by 1988. We'll get to that in a minute, though. So after
Letter bomb?
Right?
No?
No. It's found later. It is found later. But at the time when the state is reviewing it, it's missing. And then by 1988, even more things go missing. After the University of Alabama Huntsville shooting, the Braintree Police Chief Paul Frazier said on February 13th, 2010, this is the day after the shooting, the reports are gone. They've been removed from the files. After speaking with officers involved in the case in 1986, Frazier called the accident description inaccurate, meaning calling Seth's death an accident was inaccurate.
That's a really delicate way to put that.
Very PC, police chief.
She murdered her brother.
Frazier, so he is the police chief in 2010, remember. I just want to make sure everybody keeps that clear. Paul Frazier was not on duty when the murder in 1986 happened, but he was a part of the police staff at that time. And he recalled how frustrated that members of the department were over Amy's release to her mother. But what could they do? Their chief ordered her release. Other officers, Frazier said, believed that John Polio had fixed a murder, resulting in what he described as a miscarriage of justice just because it was a friend of his. The retired John Polio denied that there had been a cover-up, of course. In 2010, he's on the record denying it. But Frazier's 2010 account and the 1987 Massachusetts State Police report differ in several key details, including whether or not Amy Bishop had been arguing with her brother or with her father before the shooting. Because, see, I actually think what was going on is that she was mad at both of them. And she likely would have killed either one of them had they been standing in the kitchen. Seth was just the lucky. She was mad at her dad for being so proud of Seth for his accomplishments, and she was mad at Seth for having accomplished something.
So she came down and killed him.
Mm-hmm. February.
And punished her parents as a result.
Absolutely. February 16th, 2010, the Braintree officials announced that the files previously missing had been found. So then Norfolk County District Attorney Bill Keating, who was himself elected to the House of Representatives later that year, concluded that there was probable cause that existed in 1986 to arrest and charge Amy Bishop for crimes committed after she fled the house. She had taken the shotgun to a nearby auto dealership shot, and she brandished it at 2 employees in an attempt to get a car. Amy Bishop could have been charged with assault with a dangerous weapon, carrying a dangerous weapon, and unlawful possession of ammunition.
Here you'd also be charged with armed robbery.
Yes. But the statute of limitations had expired by 2010 on those 1986 crimes that happened after Seth's murder.
Think of all the cases we've had where that has come up.
The most serious charge considered in 1986 was manslaughter for the death of Seth. So the Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick ordered the state police to review their investigation, saying, quote, "It is critical that we provide as clear an understanding as possible about all aspects of this case and its an investigation to ensure that where mistakes were made, they are not repeated in the future," end quote.
Good.
So an investigation was opened in which the state cooperated with the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office to assess the handling of the case by the state, the local police, and the then district attorney. So February 29th, 2010, the DA Keating sent District Court Judge Mark Coven a letter to start a judicial inquest into the 1986 shooting. So we're opening it back up.
Yep.
Keating said that the recently enlarged crime scene photos from Amy Bishop's bedroom revealed a news article in which a similar crime had happened. He speculated that this article may have related to Amy Bishop's intent. He didn't identify the specific news article, but the Boston Globe wrote that an internet search revealed that 2 weeks earlier, before that shooting, the parents of Patrick Duffy, an actor who played Bobby Ewing on the popular television show Dallas.
I know Bobby Ewing. I loved Dallas.
He was killed in Montana by an assailant that was wielding a 12-gauge shotgun, who then held up a car dealership and stole a pickup truck and fled.
What?
So this article is open in a picture in her bedroom. She had read that article.
That's how she got the idea.
Yeah. So they think that it's very possible that she could have mimicked that, or at least taken some knowledge and applied it to her real life situation once she found herself angry enough to kill her brother.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was going to be her out. That's what she was going to do, is potentially go kill people at this auto place and steal a car.
And steal a truck. On March 1st, 2010, Detective Brian Howe, the state police's lead investigator into the 1986 shooting, said he looked forward to addressing the judicial inquest and stood by his 1987 report. He had agreed with Captain Theodore Burke the late Braintree lead investigator. So Captain Theodore Burke was no longer with us by 2010. And he had agreed, Detective Brian Howe, that the shooting was accidental. Howe said that he was assigned to the case nearly 2 hours after the shooting and immediately called the Braintree police. Theodore Burker told him that he would not be needed that day and that Amy Bishop had already been released into her parents' custody. So Howe never really got to be the detective on the case because he was already dismissed. And he said that the Braintree police never informed him that she had later allegedly accosted employees at a car dealership at gunpoint demanding a car. He said that he repeatedly requested that the incident reports from that day, be given to him, but the police never gave it to him. He did not know. He's saying the shooting itself, I believed, was accidental, but I was never told about her crimes after the shooting.
I have thoughts.
Yep.
So, I guess it comes down to, you want me to say something incredibly narcissistic? Maybe it's not, or powerful. However you want to look at this. When I was a prosecutor and I knew that there was information that a police officer had, I demanded it. And I didn't take no for an answer. Yeah. And if the answer was, well, I haven't reduced that to writing yet, I would say, type fester.
Then quickly do your job.
Type
so
fester.
How is the detective, Detective Brian Howe. So he was the state police's lead investigator. And so he was going to be the detective on this, except that the Braintree police had said, you're not needed. She's already released into her parents' custody. Yeah. And he's like, okay, I want all the incident reports.
Yeah, because you can still charge somebody who is released. They basically let her out on a PR bond.
Yeah, and then it can go to the prosecuting attorney.
And they can decide.
Mm-hmm. They're all now backtracking in 2010 and saying the explanation of how the shooting was accidental was reasonable enough for us, and we were never told about the behaviors after the facts, the crime after the facts.
Law enforcement does not get to make that decision, though. No. They can send an accidental, quote unquote, accident up to the prosecutor's office for them to look at and say, okay, we're not going to charge. Mm-hmm. It was clearly an accident. Yep. But somebody there uniformly, it was that chief made the decision.
It was.
He made a decision that was not within his job capacity to make.
Correct.
Or ethical or morally. Like, you clearly were too close to the situation, sir, and there was a right way out of it.
Yeah.
And it was to say, oh, no, I can't. I'm too close to the situation.
Yeah, this is a conflict of interest.
Yeah, absolutely.
So March 1st, 2010, Keating announced that an inquest would be held April 13th to 16th in front of Judge Coven. And so during the inquest, the Braintree police officers testified that Judy Bishop had asked for John Polio, by name before the officers were ordered to release Amy Bishop. So Judy Bishop, John Polio, and his wife all testified that Judy and John had not been friends. The three of them say they weren't friends. And Judy denied in the inquest that she had asked for John Polio at the station.
See, this is why you don't put your career on the line for people and you do the right thing, because they're going to fucking throw you under the bus now.
This is how many
decades later. They don't care anything
later,
about you.
Yep. And they're like, no. But even John Polio is saying, no, we weren't friends.
Well, yeah, because his career, he could potentially be charged. There's all kinds of bad things that can happen from that.
And yet there's other officers that testified she walked into the station. We know she was friends of John. She asked for John by name. She goes into his office. Next thing we know, we are being ordered to release Amy into her mother's custody.
I don't like
They testified at that inquest the truth of that. Okay. June 16th, 2010, Amy Bishop is charged with first-degree murder in her brother's death, nearly 24 years after his shooting.
Was that before she became Amy, PhD from Harvard?
When she murdered him?
Yeah.
Yeah, because she was only 21.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So
she was still an undergrad. D.A. Keating commented, quote, I can't give you any explanations. I can't give you excuses because there are none. Jobs weren't done. Responsibilities weren't met. And justice wasn't served. End quote. Amy Bishop.
I like him.
Me too.
I can appreciate that.
He is not making excuses. He's taking accountability for something that he had nothing to do with. This is well before his time, but he's cleaning up the mess.
Trying to.
Right? Amy Bishop. That's funny. Amy Bishop's parents, who claimed that the Braintree officers lied about the events at the dealership where she was holding those people at gunpoint to try to steal a car. They issued a statement after the indictment. They wrote, quote, "We cannot explain or even understand what happened in Alabama." Oh, really? You mean where your daughter point blank murdered 3 people in cold blood and severely injured 3 others? You can't understand or explain it? You're right. Because you've been covering for her entire fucking life.
You don't think that incident...
That's not a part of the quote, by the way.
Incident... Really?
No.
The incident doesn't mirror another incident that happened in your life, ma'am?
Right. They go on in their quote to say, however... "We know what happened 23 years ago to our son, Seth, was an accident." End quote.
No.
You know what, guys? I understand as a human, you need to tell yourself that so you can live with it yourselves.
Agreed.
That is the only reason you're saying that is because you would not be able to possibly live with yourself and what you have done to your son by allowing your daughter to murder him and then cover it up. Being a part of covering it up.
They mentally could not handle losing both of their children.
Absolutely not. And I'm not going to judge or fault them for that. I have never been in that situation, thank God, and pray I never am.
I
so
pray
I'm
I never
gonna
am
leave
either,
it.
but I'm just going to take the opposite route and tell you I do still fault them because there was a crime committed and there was a victim there and it was your child and he deserved better than that.
He did. He absolutely did. On June 18th, 2 days after Amy Bishop was indicted for the murder of her brother in a reopened case, she attempts suicide in Huntsville jail. She survived.
Attention.
She was treated at the hospital and then returned to jail. Her husband, Jimmy, complained that the authorities did not inform him of her attempted suicide. He's just real angry about that. Still married to her, by the by.
She's in jail.
In November 2010, survivors Leahy and Monticello filed lawsuits against Amy Bishop and her husband, Jimmy Anderson, to recover damages. In January 2011, attorneys representing the victims filed wrongful death lawsuits against Amy Bishop and Jimmy Anderson and the UAH, the university.
Of course. They have to.
Yep. September 2011, Amy Bishop pled not guilty by means of insanity.
Well, we've been calling her crazy for an hour and 10 minutes.
That is a good point. In 2012, the spouses of one of the victims, researchers, wrote a letter to the judge presiding over the case. In this letter, the writer indicated that their family had been greatly suffered by their loss, but they didn't see any benefit from the loss of another life because the prosecutors were very open that they were going for the death penalty for Amy. And this victim's family was writing the judge to say, 2 wrongs don't make a right. And so we don't need another loss of life. They wanted to see her live out her days in jail. In response to this letter, Bishop's lawyers offered a change to her plea to guilty in exchange for the prosecution to not seek the death penalty.
Okay. And the victims' families and the few survivors that were left were okay with this.
Yep. Yes, because after receiving the offer, that exchange for not seeking the death penalty, Chief Prosecutor Robert Bouchard contacted and learned from the 9 survivors that none of them wanted the death sentence for Amy Bishop. So on the basis of those opinions, Robert Bouchard decided to not seek the death penalty, and Amy Bishop changed her plea to guilty. As is pretty obvious, ma'am. Like
she wanted to live. Man, she is somewhere bossing around a women's pod.
For sure. Being called Dr. Amy Bishop, by the way.
Harvard University.
On September 24th, 2012, Amy Bishop was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The Norfolk County actually declined to seek her extradition. Through her Massachusetts lawyer, Amy Bishop said that she wanted to be tried for her brother's death in order to vindicate herself. She is serving her sentence at the Julia Tutwiler Prison for Women in I don't know how to say that. Wetumpka, Alabama.
Yeah, I think that must be right.
It literally is the words
Wetumpka.
And
Ka.
ka. Yeah,
I like it.
Wetumpka. As of 2020, her security classification is medium, and her residence is a dormitory instead of a cell block. I mean, she does have to spend life there.
I do hope they put her name and a plaque on the outside so the guards know who they're dealing with.
Well, she demands that the guards call her Dr. Bishop.
She does?
Yes, she does.
Did you just make that up or did you read that?
No, I read it in several articles.
No way.
Yes. She always, and I don't know that they actually do it.
I doubt it.
But she corrects them.
Or they do, but there's a lot of sarcasm.
Uh-huh.
Anything you want,
Dr. Bishop.
Uh-huh.
After pleading guilty in September 2012 and waiving her right to appeal, Amy Bishop filed an appeal in February 2013. The appeal stated that she was not informed of the rights that she would be waiving by pleading guilty, and she was not currently informed of the minimum range of punishment, and that the circuit court failed to explain that she could withdraw her plea. But the Court of Appeals rejected it.
And face the death penalty, Amy.
Correct. Remember that exchange?
You know what, Amy? Be like, I've had enough of this bullshit. Give me the death penalty.
Yeah, right?
Like,
well, they rejected her appeal, and eventually she does withdraw her motion. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it happens, but in most cases, when people say they weren't fully informed, they are. Mm-hmm. And if you do a good job in court, you make a record of that and make sure that it's clear that they understand. So those type of accidents, hopefully, don't happen as much anymore.
Do you want some more interesting factoids about this woman?
There's more?
There's more.
Oh my God. Please. Can it get worse?
It gets interesting. It's a peek behind the brain matter a little bit. So Amy Bishop is a second cousin of novelist John Irving and had written 3 unpublished novels.
Amy did?
Amy did. One featured a woman scientist working to defeat a pandemic virus and struggling with suicidal thoughts at the prospect of not earning tenure.
Oh my God.
The novels reportedly, quote, reveal a deep preoccupation with the concept of deliverance from sin, end quote. And Amy Bishop was a member of the Hamilton Writers Group while living in Ipswich, Massachusetts. That's hard to say. That's a lot of S's. Ipswich, Massachusetts, in the late 1990s, and was said to believe that writing would be her, quote, ticket out of academia. She wanted to be a published fictional author.
Who doesn't?
Members of the club said that she would frequently cite her Harvard degree and family ties to John Irving to boost her credential as a serious writer.
You know who wasn't going to use a pseudonym? Dr. Amy Bishop, Harvard University.
Sure wasn't.
All over that book.
All over it. Another member described her as smart but abrasive in her interactions and as feeling entitled to praise. Yeah, I'd say. Amy actually had a literary agent but had not published any books. The protagonist of the first of her unpublished novels is a woman who, as a child, attempted to frighten a friend after an argument, but accidentally killed the friend's brother.
This woman is using, this was her therapy.
I know.
It was the only way she could admit wrongdoing, by not admitting wrongdoing and making it fiction.
I know.
Her whole life was a fiction she had created.
I know. She'd manifested it.
This is awful.
Yes.
Keep going. Is there more?
Well, I scrolled too far in my notes. All right, let's see. So, another author actually speculated after reviewing the evidence that Amy had meant to frighten or shoot her father with the shotgun after an argument and mistook her brother for him. He said, quote, I came to believe that there had indeed been a cover-up between Amy Bishop's parents and John Polio, but it had not been out of an act, I messed that up, but that it had not been an act out of conspiracy, but of compassion. More of a gesture of mercy and denial that would have costs decades later in Alabama. End quote.
Wow.
So anyway, I feel like
Dirty.
Amy Bishop,
I need a shower.
she's like an example of what you put out is what comes back to you. And I have another little factoid for you.
Okay.
And this is what I mean by what you put out is what comes back. Because tragically, on April 18th, 2021, Amy Bishop's 20-year-old son, Seth Anderson, her son was named for her late brother that she shot to death.
Oh my God, was he shot and killed?
He was fatally shot in an unrelated incident in Huntsville. The shooter was charged with manslaughter.
Oh, I have goosebumps.
Like this, be careful about what you put out because it will come back tenfold. She lost her son in the same exact way. Her son that was named after her brother that she had
murdered.
shot. Her brother was 18. Her son was only 20. And it happened in Huntsville where she took the life of those 3 people and seriously injured the other 3.
Wow.
Right?
Oh God. Just parallels and like you said, what you put out into the universe.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that just such a crazy case?
It was a roller coaster.
It sure was.
Or does the demon drop exist still? And does that count as a coaster? You really just keep dropping me and then lifting me back up and then dropping me again.
There was a lot of whiplash
Yeah.
in that one. I'm telling you, she's a little cunt cake. Yeah.
What were you calling her again?
I was saying that she had Bishpath disorder.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I like a bit. Bishpath disorder.
It's what happens when narcissists and
crazy.
Sociopathy. No, psychopaths is all I'm trying to say.
That's the word.
A narcissist and a psychopath have a baby.
Yeah.
And if they had a diagnosis, it's the Bishpath. I keep saying bitch, but I'm trying to say bish.
But why?
Bishpath. I know.
Bitch
It is
path.
bitchpath.
I like
Yep.
Bishpath.
Sorry. I am a bitchpath.
Wow.
Yeah.
I may have vaguely heard about shootings at Huntsville,
Yes.
University of Alabama Huntsville, but I was unfamiliar with the details. And boy, did you do some research and unlock her dirty, dirty little closet.
I sure did. We just unfolded all of her dirty underwear.
Yeah, they were in a brown bag in the back, and everything was vibrating across the floor. It was crazy.
I know. And we just put it out there for the rest of the world to know all of it too. Crazy.
Well, thank you, Charnell. Are you going to bathe me, girl?
Let's find a brain bath.
Have you been watching the Olympics, Charnell?
Yeah.
Did you see the thing on the Turkish shooter?
Let's say it.
So-
Let's do that as the brain bath.
Okay, so this guy, first of all, if any of you have been watching the Olympics, this Turkish shooter who has become like probably the most popular meme now of 2024, because if you haven't seen it, I mean, this guy, he's kind of a silver fox, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's got one hand in his pocket, like Alanis Morissette is playing in the background.
Uh-huh.
He's
And another one on his 9mm. I mean, what is that?
and he's not wearing any type of special glasses.
No.
Now you look at some of the other people that are shooting, right? And they look like they are straight out of Mortal Kombat. Okay.
Yes.
These are spandex suits that are different colors or some type of a ninja movie. They've got all kinds of the special eyewear. You know, people who have a dominant eye, they do something to kind of, you kind of have the shield or blinder. I'm
Yes.
sorry. All I can think of is like horse blinder because that's what's coming to me.
I know. They're strapped in and mounted
this guy
up.
just gets up there like he was, wandering by the Olympics and he had his handgun with him and he was like, he finished his croissant and he's like, I think I'm gonna hang out. I came to watch.
Yeah.
So
He's like, this is an Olympic sport. I know how to do this. Allow me just to brandish my gun here. And
he ends up winning. He medals. Okay.
He does.
Silver.
with his partner. He had a female partner.
Yes. Who's also decked out in the plain old
She
white
is.
turkey t-shirt. Like Turkey's like, listen.
But she had the fancies on. She
Right.
had the eye gear.
She clearly has a dominant eye, right? And needs
Yes.
some assistance with it. But Turkey's all like, so times are hard and France is expensive.
Yeah.
We're going to buy this white t-shirt and just have like screen printed turkey on it, right?
Times are hard and France is expensive.
It is.
I'm going to make my husband a shirt that says times are hard and my wife is expensive.
So let me tell you about Dikek Yusuf,
Uh-huh.
who only recently took up shooting after a particularly heated argument with his ex-wife. Credits his success to his newfound passion for seeing his kids and a relentless drive to prove his ex wrong. Quote, "I never thought I'd be here," Yusuf said, shrugging nonchalantly. "I was just aiming for a weekend with the kids." The 52-year-old, who works as a mechanic in a small garage in Istanbul, first picked up a gun during a particularly frustrating divorce mediation. Oh, I could only hope this part was satire.
It is. All of it is.
Oh, yeah. His unorthodox approach. No specialty gear, no training regimen and wardrobe consisting of his everyday jeans and a t-shirt has baffled professional shooters. He just shows up, shoots a near perfect round, and then asks if there's a smoking area nearby. After winning the silver, Yusuf stood emotionless on the Olympic podium and declared, "Sharon, if you're watching this, I want my dog back." So, clearly he had more training than that. If anybody's actually researched the
satire,
the funniness,
but truly, that is exactly what that picture of him shows.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like, "Hi, Sharon, I'm here to get the kids."
This guy has seen some shit.
Oh my God.
You can't tell me that this guy didn't serve in some type of military training. Yeah.
He has secrets.
But he is like the breakout, like, lovable star of the Olympics. I don't know how many people I've seen like, yeah, I'd date him.
It's that salt and pepper hair.
It really is.
It's
he has
that
a great
casualness. It's the way he has one hand in his pocket of regular blue jeans.
Yeah.
And he's just got the gun in the other and nails it.
Is.
And is just only shooting at targets, not people. That's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The only thing that I think may have recently usurped him is the poor fella that ended his pole vaulting career with his pole.
Yes. You know, what a way to go out, though. If you're going to knock that pole down, let it be with your dick.
Right? Absolutely.
You still win gold, sir. I mean, in the eyes of a lot of people, you still won gold. That's better than winning gold. The whole world now knows that you have an impressive package.
And let me just share with you so that it makes people feel a little bit better about Anthony Ammirati, who clearly had a really bad day.
Yeah.
I know that there are days for you gentlemen where your dick just ruins everything for you. Okay?
Absolutely.
Either it doesn't stand up or it should when it's not supposed to.
Been there.
An adult cam site offered bulging French pole vaulter Anthony Ammirati $250,000 to do a live stream. Wow. Cam Soda reportedly sent a huge offer to the French pole vaulter who went viral at the Paris 2024 Olympics. Well, this wasn't on our 2024 Olympics bingo card. French pole vaulter Anthony Ammirati went viral this week with videos shared all over social media showing that his very prominent bulge cost him a medal at the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. Ammirati might have lost an Olympic medal, but this viral video has garnered him a mind-blowing increase in Instagram followers. Specifically, Ammirati had 6,355 followers on Saturday, August 3rd, before the videos went viral, and has grown as of Wednesday, August 7th, today, to 216,000 followers. Now, Cam Soda, a live streaming platform known for adult content, has reportedly offered to pay Ammirati as much as $250,000 for a 1-hour cam show, according to a letter obtained and reported by US Weekly. Cam Soda's offer reportedly reads as follows: "Although you didn't bring home the gold medal, you can still capture the gold from your fans via Cam Soda. That has to count for something, right? Plus, you won't have to wear those restrictive compression shorts holding you back. So feel free to let it all out and show the world why you should have your own Olympic competition next time around." Out has reached out both to Ammirati and Cam Soda for comment. The Out is the article I'm reading. Right. As seen in the report above, Ammirati's growth since Saturday, August 3rd has included tens of thousands of new followers, taking the pole vaulter's reach from 6K to 216K in less than a week. In the slow motion videos widely circulated on social media throughout the week,
slow.
The 21-year-old pole vaulter is seen trying to clear a 5.70-meter bar. However, as he starts to fall back onto the ground, Ammirati's impossible to miss bulge catches the bar and knocks it out of place.
Sure
it
does.
was like the club for the baby seals. Charnell.
It was.
And it says, "The girls, the gays, and the theys who contributed to this viral sensation feel bad that Ammirati's Olympic dreams had been shattered. On the other hand, These fans are also celebrating that the athlete is at least walking out of the Paris 2024 with a huge following due to his viral video. In the words of RuPaul, losing is the new winning. We do hope Amirati is having some fun with this discourse. And if you haven't watched the video, do yourself a favor.
Listen, if there is ever a way to not meddle, that's it.
Charnell,
that is it.
We both know that the only reason I'm not going to win the 200 meter is because of my boobs.
Absolutely.
I will punch myself in my own face and fall before
Sure will.
I even
and
got
you'll
up.
have 2 black eyes before you hit the ground.
And the people around me also would have black eyes.
Yes,
so there's
very
that.
possible.
But that's the only thing that's ruined my Olympic running career. Also, I don't run, but there's that too.
And I feel like the next email he got was a sponsorship opportunity from OnlyFans.
100%. But if he's classy, he'll go with Calvin Klein.
Right. Oh, yeah, he should.
That guy's an underwear model if I ever saw one. And his fit, he is not bad to look at.
No, of course not.
So,
No.
yeah. We'll discuss more later.
We will, off air.
Also,
But
I'm going to press play now.
okay. We'll just be here in the studio watching this slow motion video. Until next time, y'all, we hope that you
keep it curious
and keep listening.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.